Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you're tuning in to Facebook Live on my page for the first time, as I do customary, I introduce myself to newcomers, people who tune into my Facebook Live for the first time. Thank you very much for tuning in. And I also, as always, I make my position clear. I always set my stall, make my political bearings known, make my angle of view known to every single person. So I don't like leaving people in the dark. I'm not very good at sitting on the fence, and I don't like being indecisive. If I'm indecisive, I do not participate. Thankfully for me, I am one of those Gambian politicians who is quite happily going to switch their positions based on the information as it comes in real time. I am not rigid in my ways. I look at events at that particular time in real time, what I thought was convincing to me, what I think is good for my political party, the APRC, what I think is good for the Gambia first, then to the APRC, then to the party leader of APRC. That's the order of significance I give to the decisions I make. So Gambia, is it good for the public? Is it in the interest of the Republic of the Gambia? Is it in the interest of the Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction, which is the APRC? Is it good for the party leader of APRC? Is it good for the members of the APRC party? And I'll explain my political leanings. I am naturally a social democrat. I believe this state should support underprivileged people, but I also believe in rewarding very hard-working people. My name is Lamin Tamba, if you're tuning in for the first time. I am Gambian born and bred. I support a social democratic political party called the APRC, Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction. Some of you who visit my page regularly know that I'm a Pan-African first and foremost. I love every single African individual. And when I say African, it doesn't mean the Black African, because Africa has got different ethnicities. It has, throughout history, Africa has changed its demography. What remained constant is that Africa started with Black people. In fact, if we go by history, the Black people were the first people on planet Earth. Africa is the mother continent. Civilization started in Africa. Mankind started in Africa. Humanity started in Africa. But I'm not going to go into history. I'm not going to engage in anthropology. I'm not going to get engaged in binomial nomenclature. All right. No semantics. So my name is Lamin Tamba. I believe the state should support the underprivileged people. And I believe people who work hard should be rewarded by the state. And that's what social democracy is all about. Capitalism is all about what you can get out of people, what you can get out of situations. You don't want to look after, you don't want the state to be involved in providing welfare services for the underprivileged, the poor and underprivileged. I don't believe in that one bit. I believe the state is there because the poor people vote for people to run the state. They vote for individuals who work for the government to run the state. So therefore, these poor people who cannot all be employed by the government, who cannot all be employed by companies, there is no state in the world, no matter how prosperous, that can do it all, 100% for every single citizen. That's not going to happen. But there are many states in the world that ensure that the basic needs of their populations are catered for, are guaranteed. Unfortunately, Gambia is not one of those states right now. And Gambia was heading towards that direction before 2017, where you do not have to be connected in the Republic of the Gambia. You had your share. You did not have to be connected in the Republic of the Gambia to have equal opportunity. You do not have to be from one tribe, one race in the Gambia to benefit from equality. You do not have to be connected to government officials in order to have quality education in the Gambia before 2017. Sadly, and this is true, this is not because I am an opposition party member and I'm rebuking the government that's in power today. That's not the reason. It's well documented. Everything I tell you on this Facebook Live and every single post I write on my wall is well researched, is backed up by evidence, it's irrefutable. There's no way you're going to knock it. So if you're tuning in for the first time, I am Pan-African, I am Gambian, I am APRC, and I'm a proud member of the opposition parties of the Republic of the Gambia. Now, I want to see change in the Gambia, and I want to see that change fast, because what's happening in the Gambia today is very sad. This was a probable nation, doing very well, developing rapidly. Indeed, if you were of the age 10 or older in 1994, as I was, you will know that 1994 and 2016, there have been unprecedented developments in the Republic of the Gambia. Massive physical, socio-economical, every single facet of the Republic of the Gambia was transformed significantly between 22 July 1994 and the 22nd of January 2017. Who brought about that change? It was first the military junta that overthrew the PPP government. The military junta ruled the Republic of the Gambia between 22 July 1994 and the 1st of January, or the 19th of January when the president gets sworn in, 1997. So it was a 2-year transition which effectively ended in September 1996 when the presidential elections took place. All right. So I can say that transformation came about because of the military rule of 2 years and the 20 years of APRC as a civilian government, led by President Jammeh, the former president of the Republic of the Gambia. That's the political party I support, the APRC. And I became an APRC member, bona fide, fully fledged, on the 16th of March 2017. What made me an APRC member? Before 2016, when Gambia came close to civil war, I was not involved in Gambian politics. In fact, I didn't know the who's and who's, or who and who, or who is who in Gambian politics. I didn't know that at the time. I began to know the people in Gambian politics in January 2017. Obviously, I knew who was the head of state. I knew who was the vice president. And I knew the odd people here and there, but I was not connected to Gambian politics at all. And when I say this to some people, they think, how come you didn't know what was happening in the Gambia? And this is absolutely true. I had my own interests, which were far removed from politics. I wasn't interested in Gambian politics at all, until I heard that Gambia was edging towards civil war. That's when my focus, that's when my gaze changed and turned towards Gambian politics. Before that, I wasn't interested in Gambian politics. Looking back now, I am very glad that I got involved in Gambian politics, because myself and a few other people, or many other people, succeeded in stopping the Gambia from plunging or basically descending into total chaos, because Gambia was on the verge of civil war between December 2016, January 2017, February 2017, and March 2017. And I can tell you this because I'm sitting on information that some of you watching me wouldn't have known where Gambia was in those 3 months between December 2016 and March 2017. It was a tense period. There were potential flashpoints that, fortunately, thanks to restraint from the Gambian public, thanks to the vision of the former president of the Republic of the Gambia, and not many people are crediting him for this, because what President Jammeh did, many African heads of state wouldn't have done it. He wouldn't have quit power just because he wanted to save his country from a civil war. President Jammeh did it anyway, and he's not been credited for it. Even ECOWAS, the AU, the United Nations, so ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States. Sorry guys, this will be a bit boring, but a lot of people who follow my page are not Gambian, they're not African. So it's good I put a clear picture before them so they know the bearings of my conversations. So ECOWAS is the Economic Community of West African States. AU is the African Union, and the United Nations is obviously the UN. Now, in 2016, December 2016, the Independent Electoral Commission of the Republic of the Gambia declared that the former president of the Gambia, President Jammeh, lost the election. Now, a day or two later, the Independent Electoral Commission, in quotation, put independent in quotation marks because it will be important to this presentation along the way. The Independent Electoral Commission said that the former president of the Republic of the Gambia lost, and that loss was by a huge margin. Then a day or two later, the Independent Electoral Commission turned around and said, oh, hang on, we made a massive mistake in the tabulation of votes between the three main political parties in Gambian politics. One of them was the incumbent APRC under President Jammeh. The second one was the coalition 2016, a coalition of 7 parties and 1 independent, or 8 parties and 1 independent. I can't remember the exact numbers now, but the coalition was a coming together of many political parties in 2016. And then the third party in all of this was the Gambia Democratic Congress, GDC. So basically, the election results were massively altered after the declaration of the final results. So the incumbent, being President Jammeh, decided, hang on, you declared the result, and the gap was huge. And all of a sudden, a day or two later, you turned around and said the tabulation of the results was incorrect. You were going to change the results. And the results narrowed down to the winner being a winner by only 18,000 votes. And that winner was the current president of the Republic of the Gambia, His Excellency Adama Barrow, President Adama Barrow. That's what the Independent Electoral Commission said. So the former president of the Republic of the Gambia challenged the results. He challenged the results to the Supreme Court of the Gambia, as it should be done, to contest the election results of 2016. Now, that created a lot of hoo-ha, a lot of problems, and the West African community called the ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States, tried to mediate with the African Union to no avail. Eventually, they prevailed, but basically on condition that President Jammeh left without waiting for the Supreme Court to hear his election petition. Now, that is a violation of the Gambian Constitution, but I don't want to spend my time on that. I'm just giving people who follow my page, who are predominantly non-Gambian, so they can get a clear picture of what this presentation is all about. All right. So now, President Jammeh left on the 22nd of January 2017. Adama Barrow came. And Adama Barrow came with a lot of promise, a lot of goodwill, a lot of sponsorship. Serious amounts of cash were pumped on that man. And indeed, some of his main sponsors stated publicly that the amount of money they pumped on Adama Barrow in the space of 3 years, President Jammeh didn't have that much money from them in his 22 years in power, which should have translated into massive development for the Republic of the Gambia. Everything in the Republic of the Gambia, from every sector, was supposed to improve significantly. That should have happened because the World Bank, the AU, the African Development Bank, the EU were all pumping Adama Barrow with serious amounts of money that President Jammeh didn't have throughout his 22 years in power in the Republic of the Gambia. Did those amounts of funds translate into massive development in the Gambia? No. And now it's a consensus. It's a general consensus. It's an agreement across board that Adama Barrow, the current president of the Republic of the Gambia, is a massive failure because everything in the Republic of the Gambia is going down. Things are falling apart. No sector under Adama Barrow, the current president of the Republic of the Gambia, is excelling. None of them. We are failing to a point where, due to corruption of the Adama Barrow government, we have seen the highest rate of infant mortality in a short space of time in the Republic of the Gambia. The official figures of children killed by corruption under Adama Barrow is 70. The unofficial figures is 83. The unstated figures will be probably in hundreds. A lot of our children, a lot of our adults, a lot of our mothers, fathers, uncles, aunts, cousins died as a result of Adama Barrow's government's negligence, corruption, nepotism. Their evil has got no bounds. And until now, the investigation that they promised to launch into acute kidney injuries, which killed 70 of our children, an investigation that they tried to conceal until the WHO, World Health Organization, blew cover. And then the Minister of Health, instead of apologizing to the deceased and their families, instead of apologizing to the Gambian public and saying, we are sorry, these deaths that happened to Gambian children were as a result of my incompetence, my corruption, my wickedness with the Medicines Control Agency, with the Gambia Pharmacy Council. We are very sorry, and for that I am resigning my position in the interest of the Republic of the Gambia, because I've brought the Department of Health into total disrepute. No, the minister came, he said, oh, the WHO betrayed us because they were not supposed to reveal that the Gambia government is investigating the murdering of children. Children who died in the hands of corrupt, incompetent, and selfish politicians, including the Minister of Health himself, Dr. Ahmad Samad. He didn't resign. He didn't offer an apology. In fact, he said he did a very good job in the Ministry of Health. Yes, you killed 70 children from various families, and you call it an excellent job. And you think the current president of the Republic of the Gambia will turn up with a sledgehammer and smash Dr. Samate into pieces? No, he didn't. He came and said, oh, the Ministry of Health is doing a great job because this investigation that they launched, without their investigation, without their clues as to what's killing our Gambian children, we may not have known. But we know what killed Gambian children shouldn't have killed Gambian children. That's what we need to know from the beginning. It's not about investigating after you've killed somebody, premeditated murder of 70 children. Yes, because the Medicine Control Agency, the Ministry of Health, and the Gambia Pharmacy Council knew that the company they were ordering medicine from is not a reputable company. It was not an accredited company. And indeed, the company was only supplying one national health service in the whole world. And that national health service is the Republic of the Gambia. No other national health services across the world was ordering those types of medicines from the Median Pharmaceutical Company Limited, or Median Pharmaceutical Limited, an Indian company. Yet the minister and the head of state, Adama Barrow, said the Minister of Health are doing a fantastic job. This is like bringing high doses of cyanide into our hospital, dosing our children or our patients with it, and then saying we've done a good job because once we dosed people with cyanide, which is bound to kill human beings, we investigated and found out, oh, actually it was cyanide that caused it. So we did a good job investigating which chemical we gave our Gambian patients to consume, a chemical that led to the deaths of 70 Gambian children. Official figures. Unofficial, 83. Unstated, hundreds of our people have died. And I can tell you this because I posted this back in February 2022. I stated in my post that we are seeing ridiculous amounts of deaths from young Gambian people from kidney and liver failure. What could be the cause of this massive deaths of Gambian citizens from kidney and liver failure? I asked that question back in February 2022 because I've come across several patients. I'm not going to basically talk about what I'm doing behind the scenes, assisting people, because that's how I found out that actually there's a high mortality rate in terms of the cause of ailment, the cause of death in the Gambia. I knew it and I wrote about it and I said, So many Gambian people are dying as a result of kidney and liver failure. Not just children. Adults were dying. Young people were dying. They were either taking medication for hypertension, or taking medication for diabetes, or taking medication for some other ailment which required the consumption of medicine from our only supplier of those types of medicine, Made Pharmaceutical Limited, an Indian company which is on the run right now. They're closed. They're not on the WHO list of accredited manufacturers of medicine. They're not on Indian government's accredited list of medicine manufacturers. They're not on Gambia or any other National Health Services list of accredited companies in terms of medicine. Adama Barrow and his government are trying to sweep it under the carpet. They're trying to brush it under the carpet. They're playing the time game. Again, pay attention to this time game, the delay tactic. Because the Independent Electoral Commission, again, independent in quotation marks, is playing a time-waiting game with the APRC, because the APRC is split into two now. Because the former executive of APRC was dismissed, because they were disloyal to the party, they were dishonest, and they refused to quit. So now, the APRC has an executive, existing one, but the former executive is refusing to quit. And the former executive is sleeping with the Independent Electoral Commission. So pay attention to this delay tactic. This is what Adama Barrow's government is doing. They want Gambian people to forget that the government has killed Gambian citizens, Gambian children, 70 of them, several adults, and the unofficial figures, 83 children were killed. They're playing time-waiting game. So that in time, our tempers will calm down. All right? Because when it came out first, our tempers frayed. People were angry. People were bickering. There was lots of squabbles. There were calls for Adama Barrow himself to resign or we kick him out of State House. But he's playing the time-waiting game because he knows Gambian people and their nature. They're going to forget as time goes on. People like me are not going to forget. People like the WHO are not going to forget. Who is the new supplier of our medication? Now that the Made Pharmaceutical Limited in India has closed. Because they are under massive investigation from the Indian government, from the WHO, and Gambia government should be investigating them. But Gambia government will not investigate them because Gambia government knows what they did to poison our children to death. They know what they did. Absolutely. They knew Made Pharmaceutical Company was going to give them poison to give our children at a cut price, to supply cough syrups and other medications to Gambian pharmacies, to Gambian hospitals at a cut price. The other budget from the medical and health services, the rest of the money will be pocketed by a few individuals, and then they can enrich themselves at the expense of 70 dead children. At the time that it happened, people were angry. People were calling for the head of Adama Barrow. People were calling for the head of Dr. Samate. People were calling for the head of Maki Jana Kaira, the head of the Medicine Control Agency. People were calling for the head of Esa Marina, the head of the Pharmacy Council. But we're beginning to forget. They're playing games. Barrow is gone on his Meet the People tour. He's not talking about the acute kidney injuries that killed 70, 83 children, several other adults. He's not talking about that because he knows that the people will forget. He will turn up with a bag of rice, a bucket of onions, one packet of jumbo cubes, give it to some poor people, and they'll forget that their own children died from government negligence. The minister was not investigated or suspended. The head of the Medicine Control Agency was not suspended or investigated. The head of the Gambia Pharmacy Council was not suspended or investigated. In a normal institution, this is what would have happened. The minute the WHO blew cover, because I knew what was going on since June, I was a public health officer before. Some of my colleagues are very high up in the ministry now. I knew what was happening since June. First, they blamed water. They thought it was E. coli. And then they blamed something else, and then they sent investigation to the WHO. And National Health Services mostly do not consult the WHO unless there's something unusual taking place or there's a change. in Gambia's case, the change was there's a sharp increase in the number of children dying in a short space of time. So they called the WHO for help because that's how epidemics start. And that's why you alert the WHO and say to them, World Health Organization, normally we get about 100 children dying a year from this sort of issue, kidney failure or liver failure. But this year in 2022, between April and June, we've lost about 83 children from kidney failure. So we're wondering whether there's a new disease that's causing kidney infection to our children. And the WHO would have gone into full motion, the wheels will be turning to investigate what could be happening at this particular time of the year. What could be happening in the Republic of the Gambia? What circumstances changed that resulted in the deaths of children in those numbers that were previously unseen, unheard of on Gambian soil? Because this never happened in the Gambia. Not under PPP, President Jawara, not under APRC, President Jammeh. This is a first for the Gambian public. Normally we'll have epidemics of some other sort, cholera or something else, but then we know those ones are natural causes. We might have lots of malaria deaths during the rainy season, June to October. That's seasonal. It's not annual. It tends to happen. But the failure of kidneys and livers was not a natural cause. And therefore, it raised the alarm, and the WHO was invited to investigate. But you know what Adama Barrow government did? They hid the reason for alerting the WHO. They didn't want the Gambian public to know. And this is why the Minister of Health said that the WHO betrayed them. The WHO blew cover because Gambia government wanted to hide it. But for the WHO, it's important for them to blow cover, because if they do not blow cover, for all you know, this disease that's causing kidney injuries and liver failure could be spread into Senegal, could be spread into Guinea, could be spread into Mauritania and Mali. And for all you know, we'll have another pandemic affecting the sub-region or the entire African continent or the whole world. Therefore, they were not going to allow the crooked Gambian officials, Dr. Samatani's people, wicked, diabolical public officials, to conceal this information. It's better if they blew that cover and saved several other lives than kept it quiet, because for all you know, these people were still administering this medicine to Gambian children. Even as death rates were increasing, they were still administering these medicines to Gambian people, Gambian children. And indeed, the recall of that medication was not done properly. They recalled the medication according to them. There was no official confirmation of the destruction of the medicine. About 50,000 doses of it. They claimed they recalled about 42,000 doses. 8,000 doses were at large, were missing. But where are the 42,000 that they confiscated or took from pharmacies and hospitals? Has any of you seen evidence of it? I didn't see evidence of it. And I'm not sure many Gambians saw evidence of the destruction of that medicine. How can you confirm that that medicine was actually effectively recalled when the same people you were supposed to suspend, when this issue happened in the first place, the minister should have been suspended, the chief executive officer of the Medicines Control Agency should have been suspended, the chief executive officer of Gambia Pharmacy Council should have been suspended, because you cannot investigate people while they're still in office. They will tamper with the evidence. They'll destroy the evidence. They'll manipulate the evidence. And Adama Barrow employed the same culprits, the same people who are found as interested parties in this whole thing. He employed them to investigate themselves, to carry out the recall, to cancel the contracts made in pharmaceutical company, and then probably find a new supply of medicine to the Republic of the Gambia. I mean, which president and which administration does that in this world? You hire a suspect to investigate themselves. Who does that kind of stuff? How can you hire a suspect to investigate themselves? Where in the world does this happen apart from Adama Barrow's government? Where? You tell me. So the minister is in place investigating himself. The Medicine Control Agency chief of executive is there investigating herself. The chief executive officer of Gambia Pharmacy Council is investigating himself. And then they said, we're going to revoke all the licenses that we hired out. Where's proof that they revoked all those licenses? How do you know the malpractice is still not taking place? Oh, Adam Barrow is playing with Gambian people. He doesn't take us seriously. He's playing the long waiting game. He's playing the long game. And he thinks Gambian people are going to forget. We're not going to forget because I started writing and compiling these figures and making so everyone knows what's going on in the Republic of the Gambia. This is why I said Adama Barrow of the Republic of the Gambia is a failed president, and we have to make sure this man doesn't stay in power any longer because he doesn't care. And I'll come to other topics and I'll bring to your attention several other things that are happening, including the scam at the Gambia Central Bank. Again, they said some people hacked the Gambia Central Bank and took data from the Central Bank of the Republic of the Gambia. And the people who hacked the accounts of the Central Bank of the Gambia are demanding of 2.5 million US dollars as a ransom before they return all the compromised data that they took from the Central Bank of the Republic of the Gambia. Who are these hackers? Is this an inside job? Is this people in Adama Barrow's government and the Central Bank who are also trying a fast one with Gambian public? Did these people actually break into central bank's database and took compromising information? Even if they did, could these people be known to insiders inside Central Bank of the Republic of the Gambia? How are they going to pay the $2.5 million US dollars to the ransomware? How do we know that these people were actual ransomware from elsewhere other than insiders in the Central Bank of the Government of the Republic of the Gambia, trying a fast one so that when this US dollar $2.5 million is paid to United States or to Dubai or to Russia or to Ukraine or to Germany, it is not going to be the same Central Bank officials who will be sharing the spoils of this criminal act. Because this is what they're trying on the Adama Barrow government. 11 million went missing at Nawek. It turned out it was an inside job. Several thousands went missing at GRA. It turned out it's an inside job. Several billions gone missing at Gambia Petroleum. Turned out it's an inside job. I'm not even going to mention the airport which is falling apart after 31 million US dollar renovations. I'm not going to mention the fisheries ministry. I'm not going to mention the justice ministry. I'm not going to mention the judiciary, where millions are allegedly missing in Gambia's own judiciary, an institution that was supposed to uphold the highest values of our land. Several millions gone missing. Which sector in our country is working properly, is excelling? Don't even talk about the hundreds of millions that went missing at Gambia Ports Authority. They're all at it. So how do we know that the Central Bank of the Republic of the Gambia is not actually an inside job? In fact, the same Minister of Health whose department is responsible for killing 70 children and several other Gambian people came out and stood before national television and said, oh, we lost 148 million Gambian dollars in my department. The Ministry of Health lost $148 million. You think that would have been the day that Adama Barrow sacked this man straight away? No, but this is an inside job again. We can guess where that $148 million went. Nobody stole it. We know, we suspect where it went. This is why Adama Barrow didn't sack the minister. We know where that money could have gone. We know where that Central Bank of the Gambia money could be going. We know where the money that was paid to Made-in Pharmaceutical Company at a cut price, and where the medicine, the budget for medicine importation, the remainder of the money went. Look, this is an old game. It's an old game, but we're never going to know the Gambian public until we kick Adama Barrow out. That's when we're going to know the level of extortion that we've been put under Barrow. We're not going to know that. These are all inside jobs. These are ways that government can steal money to run their presidential campaigns, to run their National Assembly campaigns, now to run the local government election. As soon as the local government election beckons, when they inflated the national budget to 33 billion, when your main revenue generator, the Gambia Revenue Authority, can only generate about 10, 11 billion a year, but you're budgeting a national budget of 33 billion, and you're sending it to the National Assembly of the Republic of the Gambia, so that the Assembly can ratify, can vote on it, and pass the bill or reject it. You're generating a meager $11 billion. But then you're budgeting for your national expenditure for the year 2022-2023, $33 billion. That's 3 times what you can generate. Where's the 20 billion going to come from? Why do you need 20 billion in the first place? Our budget was 13.5 billion last year. And then total of about 24, 29 billion, something like that. The rest was all from donors or from loans or from some other means of financing. That totally destroyed our economy to a point where Adama Barrow's government is now raiding our foreign reserve. First and foremost, we ran out of foreign exchange. The government of the Gambia got so bankrupt, the transactions between Gambian companies and the Gambia government with external entities was decimated to a point where we didn't have any foreign currency on Gambian soil to be able to continue to import some of our basic needs. Our forex was in tatters, complete destruction. That's what happens when a gang runs a republic. These people are nothing but crooks, thieves. They raided our foreign reserve. When Adama Barrow came for the first time, because he was given a lot of money by IMF, by the World Bank, by the EU, by African Development Bank, and by other donors, he was boasting about, increasing the 1-month import cover that Gambia left behind to 3-month import cover, which meant the Gambia's foreign reserve was bigger and better. But what Adama Barrow didn't realize, that this money was actually not money generated by the Gambia government. A lot of that money was loans he took from the World Bank, loans he took from IMF, loans he took from the African Development Bank, loans and grants he took from the EU and other entities. Some of it was kept in Gambia's foreign reserve. Those donors are no longer donating those sums of money because they found out that Adama Barrow was actually a fake Democrat. That the guy was not indeed aspiring to elevate Gambian people from poverty. No move that Adama Barrow carries out in power, in government, is about alleviating the suffering of Gambian people. Or the EU quickly found out. The Americans said his government was corrupt. His government is still corrupt. And the Americans said Barrow government is taking bribes for contracts, bonds for contracts. They said this government is corrupt, effectively. That the awarding of contracts by Barrow government is very suspect. The EU are putting lots of restrictions on Barrow government because they found out that this guy was indeed fake, incompetent, corrupt to the core. That's what the external donors, who were all singing and dancing, praising Adama Barrow, Gambia is now on its path to democracy. Look at what Adama Barrow government is doing today. Arresting everyone who spoke up to expose or criticize Barrow government for the massive corruption scandals that are taking place under Barrow. Barrow is arresting civil rights movement people. He's arresting political party opposition members. He's arresting anyone who said anything that didn't go down well with his government. There are suspicious murders, rampant murders in the Republic of the Gambia. Who's committing them? Barrow is violating people's human rights, left, right, and center. At first, they thought he was a Democrat. He was going to uphold the principles of democracy. When they found out that this guy was actually a pure fraudster, fake, his government is not in there to change the lives of Gambian people. The Americans held themselves back. The EU held itself back. All the other donors held themselves back until a point where our economy went into minus 1.5% of GDP in terms of development. And that basically is not even a recession, that was a depression. And we're still in it. So now we run out of foreign exchange. Adama Barrow's government is raiding our foreign reserve. They didn't stop there. They want to go into central bank and take 2.5 million US dollars and pay it to ransomware. Hackers. Do you think these people are actual hackers that hacked the Central Bank of the Republic of the Gambia? I don't think so. Do you think people who stole 10, 11 million from NAWEC's bank account are actual hackers? No. GRA is the same. Gambia Petroleum the same. Gambia Drugs Law Enforcement Agency. All those drug dealers who went free, scot-free. We know why Adama Barrow's government is not prosecuting drug dealers. You've seen how they sponsoring Adama Barrow's party with vehicles. We saw the videos together. People who've been basically implicated, found wanting of drug dealing in the past, sponsoring Adama Barrow's NPP, National People's Party, with vehicles. This is the state of our country right now, where the president himself is causing up with people who are renowned worldwide for wrongdoing. People who are importing the wrong number of guns into our republic. People who brought a fuel scarcity, shortage of fuel in our country and brought our Gambia Petroleum down. Gambia Post Authority building a police station, a mosque and other things for the president of the Republic of the Gambia in his own village. Using taxpayers' money. They're siphoning hundreds and hundreds and millions of dollars out of the Republic of the Gambia to go and do their dirt in Senegal, to do their dirt in Gambian soil, to create an uneven level playing field with the opposition. Dr. Samate, the health minister, said, $148 million went missing in my department. You think Adama Barrow at that point will say, Dr. Samate, your marching orders, you're fired. You're gone. $148 million went missing. Do you think it actually went missing? Do you think $148 million would have gone missing and Adama Barrow not fired Dr. Samate? Do you know where that $148 million went? Have you guys been asking yourselves where Adama Barrow got money from to buy all those 100, 200 pickup trucks for his presidential campaign? Where he was getting money from to buy all those cooking pots and other stuff that he was bribing the voters with? The kind of ugly politics that our Supreme Court didn't allow us to see via the election petition which was submitted by the United Democratic Party. Where do you think Barrow was getting all that money from? Why do you think drug dealers are not being prosecuted and convicted? They're not even being arrested in most cases. 3 tons of drugs. Several times 500 kilos of drugs. Hard drugs. I'm not talking about weed. There's a photo going around. I have it. I don't want to share people's private photos of people who went to pay $1 million to be able to get a contract for Made in Pharmaceutical Limited in India to supply Gambia's medical services, health services with medicine, poison basically. They bribed these officials $1 million in order to be able to secure a contract from the government of the Republic of the Gambia from a company which is not supplying any other national health services in the world apart from the Republic of the Gambia. Where do you think that money that they cut from the health budget by going to a corner shop in India and ordering medicine that's killing our children? So if they were budgeting $500 million for medication, importation of medicine for the common ailments in the Republic of the Gambia, they were probably paying Made in Pharmaceutical just $100 million for this medicine. Where is the other $400 million is gone? I'm giving you examples. Where do you think the other $400 million is gone? Have you asked yourself where Adama Barrow and his people are getting all this money? Every time you go to NPP as a high-profile political figure, they give you a pickup truck. According to NPP, they were the ones releasing those audios and videos. Little did they know at the time that they were actually committing electoral offenses. You cannot bribe the electorate. You cannot induce the electorate. But they didn't know until the United Democratic Party, the UDP, submitted the election petition. And when they saw that this matter is very grave, only the NPP and Adama Barrow knew what they were doing with the IEC and the Supreme Court. Unfortunately, the election petition didn't go to trial. If it went to trial, we would have known all the dirt, how ugly Adama Barrow and his NPP were, where their sources of funding was, where all this money was coming from. Gambia is now on the brink of economic decadence. And you better take that from me. I'm telling you this now. Not only are we facing that, we're also facing a serious conflict on our Gambian soil. Potential civil war. It will not bode well for the Gambian public. It will not bode well for the Gambian government. It will not bode well for the President of the Republic of the Gambia, who was supposed to be a president, by the way. He is anything but a president. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I think our level of thinking and the angle at which we view things is totally different. Because if I feel the way I feel right now about my own country, I cannot understand how a sane human being would think retaining Adama Barrow for any time longer than 24 hours from this Facebook Live of mine was a good idea. Nobody would think retaining Adama Barrow for another 1 week is a good idea because of what I know. But a lot of what I'm sitting on, is confidential government documents. I cannot share them publicly. And I said this before on my wall. I said, I don't share many things publicly until the media houses write about it. Then I'll bring out the information. What Barrow and his people are doing to Gambian people is nothing but a gang of crooks, profiteering, robbing, defrauding the Gambian public in broad daylight. That central bank scam. You watch. There were funds transferred from the central bank before which weren't accounted for. They went to the American Federal Reserve Bank. Could those funds be the ones that people are accusing Adama Barrow with of buying his son fancy cars in America, buying houses for his children in America? The last time I read something, they said Adama Barrow, who basically could barely eat in 2017, is worth $200 million in the space of 5 years. Where is the $148 million from the Ministry of Health? Where is the $2.5 million which was transferred to American Reserve Bank, Federal Reserve Bank? Where is the $400 million missing at Gambia Ports Authority? Billions missing at Gambia Petroleum. Millions missing at GRA. Several other places. Drug dealers going missing. The airport renovated for $31 million. Toilets don't have water. The seats are breaking down. The conveyor belts were breaking down. The scanners look like they come from the Stone Age. The airport is dirty. Nothing is working until the tourist flights threatened not to fly to the Gambia because of the dirt, the poorly kept airport. $31 million renovation. The airport was built for $10 million. To renovate it is $31 million. Yet the renovation made it worse than what it was before. We think we're going to retain Adama Barrow with all that's going on now? With Senegalese soldiers coming on Gambian soil or via Gambian borders, killing Gambian citizens with impunity. And Adama Barrow will not talk about it. Senegalese forces are hovering their drones around Gambian borders. Anyone that they see, and drones have got very good cameras. Most major drones, even for civilian use, have got 4K cameras. with Zoom facility, all right? Let alone the military ones. The military ones will probably have many more facilities on them that the civilian ones do not have. And there's no way a drone is going to pick its target without knowing clearly, seeing fully whether this particular person that the drone is picking out has got a gun or has a knife or has something that was sinister or something that they're plotting to attack the Senegalese soldiers. First and foremost, there should be no Senegalese soldiers on Gambian territory. What we have in the Gambia is ECOMIG. And ECOMIG doesn't have any problems with the Senegalese separatist movement, MFDC. So therefore, there's no need for any Senegalese soldier to fear any attack from the MFDC, which also means that the Senegalese army's drones hovering around Gambian border have got absolutely no reason to shoot any civilian that they see around the borders, because the ECOMIG is not going to fight the rebels. The rebels are not going to fight the ECOMIG. They have totally different missions. The ECOMIG in the Gambia is in the Gambia to be able to stop external aggression from foreign forces. The separatist movement in Casamance called the MFDC, they're not interested in invading the Republic of the Gambia, unless Gambia is used as a staging ground to attack them, which happened in January earlier this year. And the movement of Democratic Forces of Casamance, MFDC, they've shown us an example of what they're capable of what they will do next time Gambia allows Senegal to use the Republic of the Gambia as a staging post. They've shown us just snippets of what they can do. But we're still allowing the Senegalese army to use Gambian territory to fly their drones, to do their patrols and observations against the rebels in Casamance, southern Senegal. So now, border villages in Foni, which predate the colonial borders, all right, these villages were there before Gambia and Senegal took their current form. They were there before the borders were demarcated. Foni encompasses Gambia, Senegal, and Guinea-Bissau. Foni is a wide stretch of land which was there before the colonialists came and demarcated our borders and told us, oh, this part of Foni is in the Gambia, this part of Foni is in Senegal, the other part of Foni is in Guinea-Bissau. This is what the imperialists did to us. They came, they divided us, they made us enemies. To a point where Senegalese soldiers can today look at a Gambian civilian, unarmed, looking for his herd of cattle or sheep or whatever, and then shoot and kill them, knowing fully well. And the drones have got very good cameras. They got 4K cameras or maybe more than that. They can zoom in, they can tell whether somebody is armed or somebody is not armed. They don't have to shoot. Even if somebody is armed, a lone ranger, a lone wolf, in Kusamai, in Jehe, in any of those places, Jifonga, one person is not going to be able to mount a serious challenge against the Senegalese army. Not against the Gambian army. Even if they were rebels, the threat at that particular point is minimal. You don't have to shoot the person and kill them. If a drone has got that capability, they can basically disable that person, shoot their legs, shoot their arms. You can zoom in and see whether actually this person is indeed armed or not. Senegalese army are abusing. The Senegalese army is abusing its authority. It's abusing its power, and we've just about had enough. And we're just about to hit back because we've seen that Adama Barrow's government is not interested in protecting Gambian citizens. Adama Barrow's government never makes a statement about the deliberate killing of Gambian citizens by Senegalese army, and Gambia is not at war with Senegal. Gambia is not at war with the separatist movement in Casamance. Gambia is not at war with anyone. Why the Senegalese army has got the penchant of pulling the trigger? They are so trigger happy towards Gambian civilians. They just kill them willy-nilly because we have a president and a government that's encouraging it. That's giving them Gambia as a staging post to be able to perpetrate these crimes against Gambian citizens. That's what we're facing right now. We have a president, Adama Barrow. We have a government, NPP government, that's helping Senegal commit crimes on Gambian soil and on Senegalese soil with impunity, because Barrow has been installed by the Senegalese government, has been imposed on Gambian citizens, and there's nothing we can do about it. Guess what? There is something we can do about it, and we're just about to start fighting back, because the government of the Gambia is not prepared to help the Gambian people, is not prepared to protect the Gambian people, one of their fundamental obligations. They're reneging on that. But Barrow doesn't care. When you send Barrow to meetings, he sleeps. Anything you give to Barrow to sign, he'll sign without knowing. The guy cannot read, he cannot speak, he has no intellect, he doesn't care, apart from the fact that all he cares about is go and meet the people and lie. Meet the people and tell them lies, because he said it's cool, it's okay to lie to people. Meet the people and talk trash against the other opposition party leaders. That's his top-notch capability, nothing else. He's allowing the Senegalese government to use the Gambia to launch attacks or surveillance against the separatist movement in Casamance. He's allowing them to shoot Gambian citizens willy-nilly, kill them, maim them, injure them, do whatever you want, destroying people's properties. That's what the current governor of Senegal in the Gambia, who's supposed to be called the president of the Republic of the Gambia, that's what he's doing to Gambian people. He's offering Gambian people to Senegalese brutality. Instead of protecting Gambian territory, instead of protecting Gambian populations, instead of protecting Gambian properties, Adama Barrow of the Republic of the Gambia is paying a deaf ear. He's acting blind. He's acting deaf. He's acting like his head never works, or he never grew up in the Republic of the Gambia. All he is ever interested in is cajoling, coaxing, partying, jumping, carousing, having all sorts of associations with corrupt people, crooks, drug dealers, and all sorts of people in our country. And indeed, a renowned drug dealer who was found wanting for drug dealing in the past was videoed, caught on video, saying, I'm going to donate these vehicles to the president of the Gambia's party for the Meet the People tour. The Meet the People tour, where he was supposed to go to the people and explain how he's going to resolve people's problems. He's gone on a Meet the People and lie tour. He never tells the truth. He builds a road, a 40-kilometer road. By the time they get to 20 kilometers of that road, the first 20 kilometers is already broken. And the money that they mention, that they spend on the already broken 20 kilometers, is billions and billions of Gambian taxpayers' money. So they're building a 40-kilometer road. They've built up to 20 kilometers. By the time they get to 20 kilometers, the first 20 kilometers they built is already breaking down. That's the kind of roads Adama Barrow is building in the Gambia now for billions and billions. Everyone is at it. They're all at it. They're all in on the act. They're all corrupt. They know the man is spineless, he's toothless, he's worthless, he's hopeless. So what they're doing is, everyone is at it. Free for all. It's a rat race. Take as much as you can, because Barrow is going to go any minute. Gambian population is going to get up and kick him out. His support base is close to 10% right now. Total failure. Just last Sunday, they killed a Gambian citizen, 21-year-old, a drone hovering around, according to his friends who went to the bush with him, to get fuel to cook in their houses. Because Gambians are still using charcoal. They're still using firewood to be able to cook food for themselves and their families. They went into the bushes trying to do that. A drone was hovering around. Unarmed people shot him and killed him. 21-year-old kid, barely seen life. Gambian citizen shot around the border villages. The border villages are not going to move. The border villages are full of farmers. They got cattle, they got sheep, they got other stuff. So when their sheep go grazing, or the cattle goes natural grazing, which is what people do in Gambia and Senegal, the cattle and the sheep and the goats feed themselves. They go out and graze naturally. So towards the evening, the herdsmen, the owners, will go around the bushes looking for them to bring them back. And on this occasion, this guy, Lamin Baji from Kusamai, called Lang Baji, went to go and get his cattle back. And then again, 2-3 days after the drone killed Yankuba Baji, a 21-year-old. Another drone shot this Langbaji, who went to go and get his cattle back to the ranch. Shot him, nearly killed him. He was very lucky. Fragments of whatever they shot him or bullets were lodged in his ribs. Went to the hospital to get them removed. This is what we're facing on a daily basis because our current administration is encouraging it. It's allowing Senegal, which installed Adama Barrow on Gambian people, imposed him on Gambian people, still supporting him because Senegal is taking all our sovereign wealth from our republic right now. So in their interest, it's in their interest to prolong Adama Barrow's stay in government at the expense of the Gambian citizens. This is what's going on. This is the situation we face right now. So until we ditch our differences, all opposition figures, until we put aside our differences, we're not going to be able to uproot this fellow. And this fellow doesn't serve Gambia's interest. He doesn't deserve to be in office for another 1 week. And indeed, Adama Barrow's own state house, his presidential palace, a 36-year-old Alassane Colley, died next to Adama Barrow's bedroom. Died inside Adama Barrow's presidential palace. For 3 days, he wasn't discovered until his body started decomposing. A 36-year-old Alassane Colley died in Adama Barrow's own residence, where he works and lives. Who killed him? How did he die? Who's involved? Who knew what happened? What killed him? Alassane Colley died inside Adama Barrow's own compound, his own residence, the same place he works from, or he works at. What killed him? How did he die? Why did he die? Who knew something about it? Barrow doesn't care. He never made a statement. They said they're going to investigate it, which is what Adama Barrow always says to every incident. And all his investigations since February or March, when the first so-called landmine killed 3 people in Wasadun in Foni. They said a landmine blew up and killed 3 people, citizens of Wasadun. We don't know whether it's true it's a landmine that killed that person. We don't know whether it's actual Senegalese people again who killed them thinking these people might be rebels. Trigger happy. They shoot Gambians at will. They kill them. They don't care. They shot 3 Gambian soldiers in Kanilai in 2017. The Senegalese forces shot Gambian soldiers and injured them. Few weeks later, they killed Haruna Jatta and injured several people in Kanilai. Did the same in Faraba. Did the same in Madiana. Did the same with 3 years Jotna. Did the same with Busumbala. And Adama Barrow of the Republic of the Gambia stood up and proudly said, I gassed and beat up 3 years Jotna. Since I dealt with them, nobody told them how heavy a bag of sugar is. In Gambian proverb, when they tell you that he didn't know how heavy a bag of sugar is, it means that person has learned their lesson the hard way. So Adama Barrow stood up publicly and said, I was happy with the brutality, the torture that I put on peaceful protesters of 3 years Jotna in 2019. One of them sustained serious injuries, life-threatening injuries. Thank God he's recovering, but he's been defaced completely by the brutality that was meted out to the protesters 3 years Jotna. That's what the man is like. A president who stands up and says, look at how I brutalized you people. Look at how I gassed you people. By gassed, he's talking about tear gas that he threw at 3 years Jotna people who were marching peacefully. That's the kind of mentally unstable president we have. Backward in his thinking. Dangerous in his thoughts. Seriously flawed in his speeches. He's going to meet the people and lie to. He's going to come back with more lies. He's already promised Gambian people that he's going to create 150,000 jobs. He said this in 2017, 2018. That he's going to create 20,000 jobs in Combo South. In fact, he destroyed jobs in Combo South. He said he was going to build a bridge between Banjul and Bara. He was going to build 60 mosques. He was going to build 50 hospitals in CRR. He's going to instigate Wi-Fi gardens in the Gambia. He said he's going to provide Brikama with free Wi-Fi. He said he built 800 kilometers of roads. He said he built 3,000 classrooms. All of it was nothing. All of it is nothing but fibs. Total lunacy. The guy lies with impunity, lies with a proud face. He said it was okay to lie to people. He said you can tell people whatever you want on the campaign trail, even if you knew that you were not going to implement these projects. You can tell them. Just tell people what they want to hear. He said it. It's not coming from my mouth. This guy is, I don't know, it's an accident. Like the France 24 television station told him, you were an accident. One, because you didn't have the capability. And number two, nobody ever thought you were going to win an election against President Jammeh. So you are a consequence of several accidents. But we know what happened in 2016 elections. Rigged. In 2021 elections, rigged. Unfortunately, on both occasions, our Supreme Court never got to hear the facts. They scuppered it in 2021 based on a flimsy technicality. In my view, there was no error in the way the election petitions were submitted. But the Supreme Court of the Gambia had other ideas. Why they did that, only the Supreme Court and Adama Barrow and NPP and the IEC know. The chairman of IEC, or the Chief Justice of the Gambia, Republic of the Gambia, his son is the lawyer for the IEC. And the IEC was a party to the UDP petition of 2021. If you cannot see the conflict, you can't see anything else on earth. The Chief Justice of the Republic of the Gambia, who was sitting on that election petition case, was going to face his own son, who is the lawyer to one of the respondents in the election petition in 2021. So do you think the Chief Justice of the Gambia, if it went to trial, will rule the case against his son? Could it be his son was the reason why the Supreme Court dropped the petition and claimed that one of the petitioners didn't get their petition? You guys don't know what's going on in our country. People are ungodly. They're not God-fearing. I'm not suggesting that's what happened at the Supreme Court, that they dropped the case because they were having shady deals with the NPP. No, that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm just telling you the conflict of interest that existed in 2021 that could have led to several questions being asked, like the questions I'm asking right now. The independent Electoral Commission's lawyer is the son of the Chief Justice. So therefore, if service of an election petition of the protocol, Chief of Protocol of Adama Barrow was deemed appropriate service, why did the Supreme Court say serving the same notice on a lawyer of Adama Barrow who's representing Adama Barrow and the NPP on that election petition? So in fact, in this case, Adama Barrow's lawyer is more relevant than the Chief of Protocol. The Supreme Court deemed that serving on the Chief of Protocol was good service on Adama Barrow, but serving it on Adama Barrow's lawyer, who's representing Adama Barrow on this particular case, was not appropriate service. And on that minor technicality, a huge election petition, laden with facts, had to be scuppered. We will get there. It's going to take the removal of Adama Barrow for all of us to see these facts. The material I'm putting before you today, when Adama Barrow leave, we'll all be sick to our stomachs. Yeah. We'll all be sick to our stomachs. And you better believe that. The same Independent Electoral Commission that nearly brought war to Gambian soil in 2016, December 2016, January 2016, to a point where ECOMIG, the West African Economic Community of West African States, the military wing is called ECOMIG, and the last two letters they normally change to reflect the country where ECOMIG is deployed. So ECOMIG in Liberia will be ECOMIL, ECOMIG in Gambia will be ECOMIG, IG, IL, IS, ECOMIS in Sierra Leone. It could be ECOMIG, Guinea-Bissau might have a different last 2-3 letters. Yes, the West African community sent armies to go and fight President Jammeh, when the West African community should have allowed the election petition to be heard, because Gambian judges at that time, a lot of them were from Commonwealth countries like Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Pakistan, and other places. They could have said, all right, let's allow the judges to sit and hear the election petition. If Jammeh loses the election petition, he leaves. If he doesn't lose the election petition, we'll have fresh elections. No. At this point, France and Senegal has got to the heads of West African heads of states, because ECOWAS is a French arm. It's an arm of the French government. And if you don't know that from today. ECOWAS is an arm of the French government, but the French government is losing grip now because Mali's kicked them out. Burkina Faso is kicking them out. Nigeria is about to change presidency. Guinea, under Doumbouya, I don't know what his leanings are, but he's very close to Goïta and the Burkina Faso junta. Hopefully, he too will do what Sékou Touré did to the French, remove them from all political and governance activities in Guinea. The two problems we have right now in West Africa that are contributing to the unconstitutional changes of government. The overall boss is ECOWAS, but the two governments, the biggest puppets, French puppets in West Africa, are Senegal and Ivory Coast. I cannot wait for these administrations to change to Pan-Africans so that we can have our West African currency, ECO, back on the agenda, back in frame, and we can roll it out and get rid of the CFA French francs. We need to get rid of it. We don't need it. We're giving France 400 to 800 billion euros every year, free of charge. That's what the former French colonies in Africa are doing. Giving France 400 to 800 billion euros a year, free of charge. But look at our roads, look at our hospitals, look at our education, look at our telecommunications, look at our populations, poor across Africa, West Africa. Adama Barrow will do nothing because he's been imposed on Gambian people by Senegal, which is the arm of France. So therefore, Senegal is in Senegal's interest and France's interest to keep Adama Barrow in power for as long as they can, because France is getting our fish close to free. Senegal is taking our fish close to free and giving it to France. The Chinese are doing the same. The EU is doing the same. They're paying us pittance. Derisory amounts of money, ridiculous amounts of money, to take our fish and give it to EU, and the EU will make millions out of it. This is what they did to President Jammeh. By the way, are you guys still asking where Gambia's oil is? I'm still asking. Where is Gambia's oil? We're in the same river basin. The underground source for Guinea-Bissau, Gambia, and Senegal is the same. Senegalese oil is oozing out. Guinea-Bissau's oil is oozing out. They're both extracting their oil and gas. Gambia, which is in the middle of the pipeline, cannot see any oil in the pipeline. But it's the same pipeline, natural one, the underground source, the underground basin, which is supplying Senegal their oil and gas, is supplying Guinea-Bissau their oil and gas. Gambia is in the middle of the pipeline and we can't see our oil. Gambian oil is not oozing out. It's not being extracted. Guinea-Bissau's oil is being extracted. Guinea-Bissau's gas is being extracted. Senegal the same. Where is Gambia's oil? Who is the new supplier of our medicine? The same IEC, Independent Electoral Commission, nearly put Gambia at war in 2016 December. Nearly put us at war in January 2017. ECOWAS, ECOMIG forces were going to go into serious confrontation with our Gambia armed forces. And ECOMIG wouldn't have won. ECOMIG never won a war before. No, they never did. ECOMIG lost everywhere. In fact, they created bigger problems in countries that they went to. And they were not going to beat the Gambia armed forces. No way. By now, you and I might not have been talking right now. We might have been dead from the civil war. Who knows? But for President Jammeh, a visionary leader, a lover of the Republic of the Gambia, a hater of conflict, the most successful Pan-African in modern history, who brought peace to 4-5 different countries. decided, you know what? I brought unprecedented development to the Republic of the Gambia. I changed the face of this country physically. I changed it socio-economically, intellectually, in every single way. I'm not going to allow haters of the Republic of the Gambia, those who wanted Gambian oil for free, wanted Gambia's rivers for free, to come and blow every single thing that I built for the Gambian people. So therefore, I'm going to step down and allow my country to continue to have this peace. But Gambia is not at peace today. The streets of the Gambia are run by criminals. People's homes are now being run by criminals. The Gambia government is being run by criminals. The Gambian territory is being run by criminals. Gambian citizens are being killed by Senegalese army. Gambian citizens are being killed by Gambian security forces. Gambian citizens are being killed by drugs. Gambian citizens are being killed by the Ministry of Health. Gambian citizens are being killed on the street by criminals. Gambian citizens are being killed in their homes by criminals with impunity. Because Adama Barrow and his people are not interested in anything other than looking for the next source of money. The next one is the bill they tabled at the National Assembly to increase the payment for the Speaker of the National Assembly. And in the long run, they'll increase the payment of the ministers and the president himself, Adama Barrow, who's already increased his salary by 2 to 3 times since he came to power. I don't have problems with salary increment as long as it's performance related. Yet we know Barrow is the biggest failure in terms of administration in our country. Why were his salaries being increased? Why were minister salaries being increased? Why was Dr. Samate awarded $155,000 a month alone on allowances? Yet he lost $148 million of our money, and he's still the Minister of Health. Yet his department killed 70 children, yet still the Minister of Health. And Adama Barrow is still the president. And we're sitting down and watching this happen, brothers and sisters. The Independent Electoral Commission that brought Gambia to the brink of war is now bringing APRC to the brink of conflict, which might spill over to create national problems. Because the APRC wrote to Aliu Mamanjai at the IEC, the Independent Electoral Commission. We wrote to Aliu Mamanjai and said, APRC's constitution asks for an unelected Congress. So the Congresses of APRC will select a party leader. And that party leader of APRC will then select his executive, appoint executive in consultation with members. So therefore, the party leader of APRC, who's also the chairman by default, they're not separate positions. As per the APRC constitution of the 15th of October 2021, the party leader is by default the chairman of the party. So therefore, if the party leader appoints somebody, it's a given. That person is appointed. If the party leader dismisses somebody, that person has been dismissed. President Jammeh dismissed Fabakary Tombonjata and his executive last year on the 15th of October 2021. He dismissed them publicly, he dismissed them privately. We wrote to the IEC soon after that dismissal to inform them that the leadership of the APRC has now changed. IEC refused to reply to us. In fact, people working for the IEC were quoted as saying, oh, we only recognize the former executive of APRC, which is a dismissed APRC. They're not the legitimate leaders of APRC. But I haven't seen anywhere in writing where the IEC actually said the former executive of APRC are the legitimate leaders of APRC. I haven't seen it. But I know that the IEC is sleeping with Barrow and his NPP, and the IEC is sleeping with the former executive of APRC. Therefore, they will do everything possible to keep the former executive of APRC as the legitimate leadership of APRC for their own interest, because they're sleeping on the same bed. They're the same as the NPP and the government. There is no independent electoral commissioner. It's Barrow Electoral Commission. When the Standard newspaper asked the chairman of IEC about a month ago, oh, the APRC wrote to you to inform you about the change of administration. President Jammeh duly and legally sacked the former executive of the APRC. The chairman of IEC ran away from responsibility and told the Standard newspaper, oh, I didn't know they wrote to us. I'll go and have a look and I'll reply to them. 1 month later, Ali Momanja, the crook that he is, a disgraceful old man who nearly brought Gambia to war in 2016-2017, who nearly brought Central River regions north when the electoral challenge was done to conflict, who's brewing conflict inside the APRC by not acting, who nearly brought Gambia to another civil unrest last year in 2021. Yes, UDP members were brutalized by Gambia police force. They were beaten up. They were tortured. There were serious skirmishes between the UDP and the Gambia police force. Unnecessarily. Thanks to, again, the IEC's incompetence, led by Ali Momanja, the guy who said he's more than happy to be partial, to take sides when he's supposed to be neutral and independent. He was happy to see President Jammeh and the APRC lose the election, he said. Publicly, he said that. His crookery has brought Gambia to conflict several times, not several times, few times. Now he's refusing to reply to the... You think, as an electioneering body in the Republic of the Gambia, Ali Momanja will have the decency to reply to all letters that come in terms of political parties and potential conflict in political parties. He replied to the NCP, the IEC replied to NCP, the IEC replied to PPP, but the IEC will not reply to the APRC because Ali Momanja and his IEC are sleeping with Fabakary Tombong and his executive and NPP. And this is why I'm asking for the opposition parties in the Gambia to unite. We have a mountain to climb. We have crooks to deal with. These people are accomplished crooks. They'll stop at nothing to subvert the will of Gambian people. If the opposition parties cannot unite and kick this incompetent, corrupt, lame president out of office, why are we still in politics? What are we going to say to the Gambian population, to future generations, that we allow the world's worst president, the most incompetent president, the most openly corrupt president, to continue to be in office after so many corruption scandals, after he's been caught red-handed? Are we going to allow that? I am not going to allow it. That's why I'm here talking. The IEC must reply to us, and the IEC should tell the former executive of APRC that they are not the legitimate leaders of APRC and that they cannot hold Congress in the name of APRC because they've been duly dismissed, legally dismissed, removed from the party because of betraying the party, because of lying to the party members, because of lying to the Gambian population, because of sleeping with the enemy and taking bunks, bribes from Adama Barrow, money from Adama Barrow so that they can try and sell the APRC party to Barrow to re-elect him. Despite all of that, Barrow didn't win the election in 2021. I'm convinced of that. The National Assembly elections are testament to the fact that Adama Barrow is unpopular and he didn't win the election in 2021 because Adama Barrow got hammered by opposition parties, including my party, at the National Assembly elections. And we're just about to humiliate him at the local government elections. Because now Gambians have seen what Adama Barrow is all about. Their children are being killed by Adama Barrow's administration. Their agriculture has been destroyed by Adama Barrow's administration. They're selling fertilizer for $3,000, $2,500 to poor farmers who can barely afford fertilizer at $500. They took away tractors from poor farmers and gave them donkeys instead. Adama Barrow took away mechanization of agriculture in the Gambia and replaced it with donkeys and donkey carts and seeders, traditional seeders. We're back to primitive tools. Yet Barrow's gone round to the Gambia, meet the people and lie to, and tell Gambian people, oh, Gambian people must work hard. This is a president who goes to meetings and starts snoring, starts sleeping. He promised Gambians everything except that he's going to work hard and stay awake. Adama Barrow never promised Gambian people that he'll stay awake and work hard. Never did. But he promised Gambians all sorts of stuff. He promised that electricity outages will be history. He promised Gambian people that a bag of rice will be reduced to $500, bag of fertilizer to $250, that he will give Gambian youths free visas to travel to Europe and go and work, economic migrants. He's doing the opposite. He's giving them free visas to be deported to the Gambia. That's what Adama Barrow government is doing. He's giving Gambian youths in the diaspora free visas to be deported to the Gambia. Instead of giving them free visas to go to Europe or America, to work hard, earn a living, make something of themselves and their families. Adama will promise Gambian people that there will be a bridge between Banjul and Bara. I said that earlier. Lots of other promises. 3,000 classrooms that were built in the air because nobody knows where those classrooms are. 800 kilometers that were built in the air. Nobody knew where those 800 kilometers are. The few kilometers that Adama Barrow built, the roads are broken before they inaugurated. Farata Jambur, Hakalang Road, Basse and Fatoto. Those roads are bullshit. They don't last more than a rainy season. They're absolute rubbish. Taxpayers' money being squandered, wasted. Look at the OIC conference. It's gone begging. A potential $1 billion investment. Gone. Gone to the drains. Now they're lying to people. They said, oh yeah, okay, we accept that we can't host the OIC conference, but we still have the rights to host the conference. Oh my God. I mean, this is sad. But you know what? We the people of the Gambia, this is not about Foni alone. Gambian citizens are going to come together and stop the killing of Gambian citizens by Senegalese forces. That must stop. Anybody can be a victim of the Senegalese drones and army, the cowards that keep hovering in the air and shooting unarmed, innocent civilians. That's going to stop. We're going to take action to stop it. Ali Momanjai, you an old man, repent, apologize to people, reply to the APRC, the real APRC under President Jammeh. Not the traitors who try to steal the party. The ones who lied to Gambian population, lied to the whole world that Adama Barrow is the biggest enemy to Gambia's progress, that Adama Barrow is APRC's #1 enemy. It turned out they were sleeping on the same bed with Adama Barrow, taking money from him, bribes, selling the APRC party to Adama Barrow. Thank God they didn't succeed in selling the APRC. But Ali Momanjai and the IEC are giving them the impression that the legitimate APRC, when they're not, they've been rightly and legally sacked. But Ali Momanjai is never going to grow. The man is what, 82, 83? He's still not going to grow. He's not going to get out of his old ways. They intervened in the NCP conflict a few years ago. The IEC intervened in the PPP conflict 2 years ago. But the IEC is refusing to acknowledge our letters, to reply to our letters, because the IEC knows that the letter we sent to them was correct, was legally advised, and the laws we quoted in there, and the legality of the APRC party was correct. That they should never consider Fabakary Tombong and his executive as the legitimate executive of APRC because they were dismissed. The APRC constitution does not ask the executive members to be voted in at Congress. The only person that gets voted in at Congress is the party leader, who by default is the chairman of the National Executive Committee. The chairman appoints and dismisses. The chairman in 2015 was President Jammeh, elected by Congress. The chairman in 2018 was President Jammeh, elected by Congress. The chairman in 2021, Penchami, was President Jammeh, retained by Congress. So therefore, President Jammeh can hire and fire. Last year and the year before, 2 years ago, President Jammeh dismissed people from the executive. Those dismissals were upheld. They were fine. People accepted it. When he dismissed Fabakary Tombong and his gang last year, they refused to quit. The IEC is helping them break the law. The IEC is helping them in criminality. But that's not new from the IEC. We know about IEC. What's new is the IEC's unwillingness to resolve the APRC internal problem. But when NCP had the problem, IEC intervened. When PPP had the problem, IEC intervened. But the IEC is not replying to our letters because they know they have no grounds to refute what we put in our letters. They know the position. So now they're playing the waiting game, the delay game. You know what IEC is trying to do? They're refusing to reply to the APRC President Jammeh because they're waiting for Fabakary Tombong executive to go to Congress and get themselves elected into power to say, oh, hey, now look, we're the legitimate executive of APRC. But no, that doesn't change anything. Fawaka Tombonjata and his people were dismissed on the 15th of October 2021. That remains valid. So whether IEC allows them to go to Congress in Janjambure, a failed Congress, where the majority of APRC supporters and delegates are refusing to go, are threatening to boycott, that doesn't change the fact that they were dismissed on the 15th of October 2021. That doesn't legitimize their positions. The IEC is playing a waiting game, a stupid game, an old game, a rotten game, a rusty game. That game is not going to cut it. It's not going to legitimize Fawaka Tombonjata and his executive. They were dismissed, period. They can go to Janjambure, or go to Amdalai, or go to Koina, or Fatoto, or Basse, and hold Congress for all they like. The fact remains that Fawaka Tombonjata and his people were dismissed on the 15th of October 2021. IEC can refuse to reply us because they know they have no grounds to refuse what we put in those letters. They cannot knock it. So what are they trying to do? Or let's not reply to them for now. Let's allow Fawaka Tombonjata and his people to go and have Congress so that they can come out of Congress and say, see, now Congress has made us the legitimate executive of APRC. No. They shouldn't have the authority to hold any Congress in the name of APRC because they were dismissed. But they can go to Congress. We're not going to go to Congress. Fawaka Tombonjata and his people can go to Congress. They don't have any following. They can claim they have APRC stamps and papers and logos and letterheads. They can claim that. They had it when we hammered them at the National Assembly election. They will have it when we hammer them at the local government election. We have the people, they have the papers. Politics is about the people. It's about the numbers. So therefore, let them go and claim all they want. Oh, we have the APRC logos and papers and stamps. We don't care. They had them when we slaughtered them at the National Assembly elections. They will have those papers when we slaughter them next time, a second time at the local government elections, because we are the real APRC. We are the ones that have the numbers. But Ali Momon Jaya and his IEC, because they're sleeping with Adama Barrow's government, because they're sleeping with Fawaka Tombonjata and others, have refused to actually just simple decency of a human being. Just the simple morality of saying, okay, President Jammeh, we've received your letter, all right? We will reply to you, or this is our reply to your letter, President Jammeh. They're not doing that because the IEC is not interested in the truth. This is an institution that nearly put Gambia to war twice. Yes. They don't care. These people will never be straight. They don't fear God. They have no shame. They don't even have any respect for other people. Not for Gambian citizens. Therefore, for us as APRC party, APRC supporters, we're happy. Let them go and have their failed Congress in Janjambure. In fact, Fawaka Tombonjata and his people are begging NPP and Barrow government to help them with money to hold that Congress, to be able to hire buses to take people. They don't have any people. They don't have any money. They said they were going to government to share power with Adama Barrow. They'll have 5 cabinet ministers and several other influential positions in Barrow government. Barrow refused to bring them anywhere near them, refused to give them any cabinet positions, refused to give them any job at the office of the president. He distanced them. He gave them positions that will kill the APRC. Neutral civil service positions where they cannot practice politics. You cannot be a Gambian ambassador or counselor at a Gambian embassy overseas and hold political position. It's wrong. You cannot be Speaker of the National Assembly in many common law jurisdictions. You cannot be a Speaker of the National Assembly and hold political office. It's wrong. You cannot do that in the UK. You cannot do that in many countries. You cannot be the Speaker of the National Assembly and hold political office at the same time. So therefore, yes, in the Gambia, maybe the law is not explicit. The 1997 Constitution didn't say he cannot be Speaker of the National Assembly and hold political office. But at the same time, the 1997 Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia didn't say that the Speaker of the National Assembly can hold political office. If there's no law providing you or giving you those powers, you cannot exercise those powers. So the Constitution didn't say the Speaker of the National Assembly of the Gambia can hold political office. It's wrong for the Speaker of the National Assembly of the Gambia to be an executive member of a political party, because the Speaker is supposed to be a neutral person who presides over the conduct of the National Assembly and its business. So Fabaka Tombonjata cannot be APRC party leader. It should be wrong. Osman Rambo Jata, who's given some paper filing job in Gambian embassy in South Africa, yeah, deputy party leader of a major party like APRC is going to go and be given papers to file, deal with people's visa applications in South Africa. He cannot hold any political office. Fatima Rajahumpasi said, the newcomer to APRC, who's gone to South Africa as Gambia's ambassador, she cannot hold any political office. Yeah? So these people are trying to steal the APRC from President Jammeh. Their Congress poster doesn't have President Jammeh's photo. There's rumor that they want to remove President Jammeh from the party leader, chairman, and flag bearer position. But their own small number of supporters who are left with Fabaka Tombonjata are revolting. They're protesting. They're disgusted. They're sick to their stomachs for knowing that Fabaka Tombonjata and his people, who always said their transactions and the alliance with Barrow and the NPP was in the interest of President Jammeh. It turned out all these people wanted was a position from where they can eat and feed their families and defraud the Gambian taxpayers. Now they're talking about increasing the salary of the Speaker of the National Assembly, which is already too high. Our nurses, our teachers, our policemen, prison services, our soldiers are all poorly paid. Their salaries were supposed to be increased in July. Another Adama Barrow lie. They lied that in July 2022, all civil services will get a significant salary increment of about 50%. They lied. What they did was, they increased a little bit of their salaries, but the salaries of people in top grades went up significantly. Those on lower grades will benefit nothing from the salary increment in July. Another Adama Barrow blatant lie before the Gambian population. But he said it's cool to lie. That's what Adama Barrow said. It's cool to lie. Ladies and gentlemen, you see, if we want to develop our country, if you want our country to start moving again, Adama Barrow is not the answer. Adama Barrow needs to go. Adama Barrow is counterproductive to every single thing that we yearn for. The man is not educated. And by education, I'm not just talking about foreign education, because you could have gone to Arabic school and be a very smart person. You could have gone to an English school and be a very smart person. You could have gone to a Spanish school and be a very smart person. Adama Barrow is generally not educated, not smart, no intellect, no acumen, no charisma, nothing. All the guy does is just blag his way through every single thing. And all those people who supported him are now awake. They know. Foreign governments that supported him, they know. The only reason why they haven't overthrown him yet is because they're getting Gambian resources for free. Gambia's sovereign wealth is going to the same imperialists and vultures who've been exploiting Africa for decades. They will not overthrow Adamo. There's a reason why they wanted to overthrow President Jammeh. He refused to give them oil for free, Gambian oil and gas for free. He refused to give them Gambian waters for free. He refused to allow them to manipulate our Gambian culture. That's why they want President Jammeh out. That's why he faced 77 coup plots, 17 of them violent. And when he deals with the coup plotters, the violent ones, or those plotting behind the scenes, there's always a brutal man. He's ruling with an iron fist. Barrow so far hasn't faced one attempt to overthrow him, because they're getting every single Gambian wealth that we can get. Free of charge, cheap, peanuts. That's why they will prolong Adama Barrow's stay. But we Gambian citizens are saying, no, we're no longer going to allow Adama Barrow to give Senegalese army Gambia as a platform to attack any other territory. We're not going to allow Senegalese army to shoot Gambian citizens with impunity. We're just about to take emphatic action against Adama Barrow's government. We have started writing to international agencies to make them aware that this stooge that they installed in Africa, that puppet, that they imposed on Gambian people is counterproductive, is destroying Gambians, is destroying the lives of Gambians, destroying the lives and livelihoods of Gambian citizens. We've just about had enough. We'll certainly take a step to end the callous attitude of Senegalese army towards Gambian citizens. We're going to put a stop to it. Believe me, we're just about to start the fight back because we know the government is not going to fight for us. Adam Barrow's government has got no interest in protecting Gambian citizens. So therefore, Gambian citizens have to rise up and protect themselves. And by doing that, we need to start fighting back against the Senegalese army. We don't want any other person to die in the hands of Senegalese army just because they've got guns and they've got triggers on them. They see an unarmed civilian, they shoot them and kill them. That's about to stop. And Adam Barrow will soon see what we were all about, what we're made of. And this is a Gambian thing. This is not just about Foni. This is Gambian citizens should rise up at the same time and show this man what we're all about. You cannot have 148 million go missing with no action taken. You cannot have 70 children killed with no action taken. You cannot have Gambian citizens being killed by foreign forces and have no action taken. We are going to put a stop to it. And you better believe it. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to be Gambian. It's time to unite. It's time for opposition parties to come together and kick this man out. Impeach him. Let's go and talk to all our MPs. Let them start impeachment proceedings. Gambia is in a difficult state. Our foreign exchange is ruined. Our foreign reserve is raided. Our central bank has been raided. Every single department has been raided by crooks, rat race. Free for all. They're all in the act. They're all romping towards their several mansions in Senegal that they're building, several mansions that they're building in Gambia, several amounts of money that they're giving to their concubines, their mistresses and others, so they can go to holidays in Dubai, United States, United Kingdom. We've got to end it. And I want to be part of that culture of ending corruption, murder, criminality with impunity. We need to stop it. The drug dealing that's taking place under Adam Barrow's government. Drugs went missing in our law courts. Millions went missing in our law courts. Drug dealers went free. People who embezzled billions of gun petroleum have been let free. People who imported illegal numbers of guns to our republic have been let go. They're free. They're walking Gambian soil. People who confess to killing people. People who killed Gambian soldiers on Gambian soil. They're all walking free. We will end it. I'll be part of the people who will end it. It won't be in my absence. You better believe that. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I end tonight's Facebook Live. Thank you very much for the time you dedicated to come and watch my Facebook Live again. I will come back again. We are planning something. We'll have a press conference. We'll have a peaceful nationwide march to stop the Senegalese army shooting Gambian citizens in CRR, in URR, in West Coast region, in LRR. That should stop, and it must stop now. We cannot take another death in the hands of Senegalese forces. It must end. The border villages have been there. Yes, it's easy to tell people in the border villages not to go near the border. What if you lose your cattle, your livestock? Remember, some of these border villages, half of them are in Gambia, half of the villages in Senegal. So how are you going to tell them not to go towards border regions? These border regions have been there before we knew Senegal as it is today, before we knew Gambia as it is today. You shoot a Gambian citizen and kill them again, Adama Barrow. You and your Senegalese master, Macky Sall, and your Senegalese government, you will pay the consequences for it. And you better believe it. We're just about to start acting now. It's too much talk. All of you that are saying, oh, we're going to take this step against Adama Barrow. No, the only language Adama Barrow knows is protest, demonstration. We're going to do that. Taking Adama Barrow for a diplomat is a big mistake. It's never going to produce results. The guy doesn't understand decency, doesn't understand diplomacy, doesn't understand formality. The only language he understands is people going out and demonstrating peacefully, show the whole world that this guy that's running the Gambia is a massive crook. He's not in there in the interest of the Gambia. He's been installed in the interest of foreign powers and foreign players at the expense of the Gambian population. I'm going to end that. Time to be Gambian, time to unite, time to be African and fight for Africa's interest, Gambia's interest, and the Gambian population must be protected at all times. That's a basic fundamental obligation on the government, to protect its citizens and to protect the properties of Gambian people. If the government is failing to do that, we will take steps to regulate the government or remove the government and put a government that will protect Gambian lives and livelihoods and Gambian property. And that time is now. Time to be Gambian, time for unity, time to kick Adama Barrow out the legal way, the right way. The man is not good for Gambian population. And the man is going to allow Gambia and Senegal and Casamance to be embroiled in war. If we don't take my word seriously, if we don't get up and act quite emphatically right now, we're going to be embroiled in war very soon. Civil war. It's brewing. We're watching it. The signs are there. We can stop it. The stops are in our hands. The controls are in our hands, Gambian citizens. The time to be Gambian is now. Thank you very much for tuning in. Good night.